Ever wonder what it takes to capture those breathtaking shots in your favorite films? Well, today I'm pulling back the curtain on the tools of the trade. Hello, I'm Michael Wolf and I'm an award-winning actor and director, and I lead the multi-award-winning tailor-made video production company United Wolves Productions. Let's talk about the production process and specifically the equipment. Let's start with the camera, the tool we use to capture the video, naturally, and it is important to pay attention to the different types of cameras. For example, the DSLR, or the digital single lens reflex camera, is mainly used for photography. It is thicker and works by having a mirror inside the main body that shifts when you take a picture or record a video. This mirror redirects the light entering through the lens onto the image sensor. This process makes them louder and prone to overheating a lot faster. Now then, unlike the DSLR, the mirrorless camera has no mirror. Obviously. Because of this, the light coming into the camera lands directly onto the image sensor. This results in a much quieter process and it lasts a lot longer without overheating. All because there are less steps to recording inside the camera. An additional benefit is that the recording would be a lot cleaner because the light is not being reflected and is instead hitting the sensor directly. Shifting to something a little different, the iPhone is likely the most accessible, a dynamic camera available for someone to own. Apple has been involved in the creative industry for decades, embracing filmmaking wholeheartedly, whether it be in content creation with the 1984 ad, or Apple Plus today. Not to mention, they innovate both hardware and software for creators to use regularly. In fact, filmmakers such as Steven Soderbergh, Zack Snyder, and Dev Patel have embraced the iPhone's capabilities and used them in their productions. Soderbergh with his theatrical feature Unsane, Snyder's on his short film Snow Steam Iron, and Patel using it as a backup camera for when challenges arose on the set of Monkey Man. We used the Sony A7S series, a mirrorless camera series tailored for video production to an industry standard. When using any camera, there are a few things we always need to pay attention to. The ISO, to start with, determines how sensitive the image sensor is to the light reaching it. The lower the sensitivity, the darker the image, but if it is too dark, less details can be seen by the viewer. On the other hand, if the sensitivity is higher, the image is brighter, but too bright and the image is distorted, like looking directly in the sun. Just like how the human eye adjusts to the amount of light it takes in, we also need to blink. Though on the camera. Well, we call that the shutter speed. This refers to the number of times the shutter closes every second, which determines how often light manages to reach the sensor at all. When this speed is low, the image is blurred and the video is prone to stuttering because the sensor is exposed to a lot of light. When the speed is higher, the image would be clearer and the movement in the video would be far smoother. The rule of thumb is to have the shutter speed to be double the frame rate. And obviously, speaking of the frame rate, a video is a selection of pictures shown sequentially very fast. And when it comes to film, usually at a 24 frames per second. That said, we can also record at higher frame rates, such as 60 or 120 frames, because it allows the editor to then stretch a brief moment into something more substantial. In short, slow-mo or every Zack Snyder film. When the video is finalized, it will be at the 24 frame benchmark because that is the range the human eye sees things at. It is why audiences had a negative reaction to the release of the Hobbit films at 48 frames per second, claiming it looked unnatural and at times even inducing migraines. Finally, we have the f-stop, or aperture, which determines how much light is let into the sensor by either opening or closing the iris of the lens. The higher the f-stop, the more of the image, regardless of the object's geographical location, would be in focus. It is on the camera operator's ability to figure out the optimal configuration for the camera depending on the location and light available to fulfill the requirements of the project for the client. With the body of the camera out of the way, admittedly it is still incomplete without its lens, of which there are two types. Zoom lenses that allow you to, well, zoom in and out of the subject, and prime lenses, where, simply put, you cannot zoom in or out. But on the flip side, the image looks that much sharper. We predominantly use 4 lenses during a shoot. The 50mm 1.4 f-stop is used for the fine details and interviews because it is the most associated with the function of the human eye. On rare occasions, depending on the space available, a 35mm 1.4 lens would be used for a similar function. The 24 to 72.8 f-stop is for staged moments, B-roll, events, and any footage where reliable zoom and focus are needed. And finally, the 10-18mm at 4 f-stop is used for wide shots to showcase the space itself. Depending on the lens we use, the image that's recorded would look quite different indeed. Once the camera operator picks the lens, the subject of the shoot would be focused on, so that it is not obscured in any way. This can be adjusted manually or automatically through the camera itself. We recommend the focus be controlled manually, as it is far more reliable, though there are times when there is no other choice. Adjusting the focus may seem simple, but the talent lies in making sure the subject remains in focus throughout the duration of the shoot. This can be difficult to imagine if you have not used the camera in such detail, so let us look at a brief example. Take a look at your keyboard. Imagine the caps lock key as the camera and the keys A to L as the area the camera is facing. If the f-stop is at 1, only one of the keys would be in focus. If it is at 2, then 2 of the keys would be in focus, and so on and so forth. Adjusting the focus lets the camera operator determine which of these 1 or 2 keys would be in focus. This is useful to understand because depending on the ability of the operator, the visual can be cinematic in its quality or end up flat and busy without a clear idea of what the viewer should be looking at. Finally, let's talk about the f-stop's depth of field. On a low f-stop, much of the picture side of the focused area would be blurry, prompting the eye to focus on the object the filmmaker wants you to pay attention to. However, if the focus is too shallow and most of the area is not in focus, the image would be muddy and it would strain the viewer's eyes, much like Army of the Dead. Anyway, on the other hand, if too much of the area is in focus, unless it is staged to create a certain aesthetic, it would be difficult to guide the viewer's eyes to the main subject. A deft hand and experience are needed to properly navigate these intricacies in a manner that serves to properly capture the vision of the client. Speaking of vision, there can be none without light, and so the quality of the lights are very important, because it will directly affect the look of the area of what is being filmed. High-quality lights will let the crew be flexible with how to properly set everything up, from the intensity to the colors on set, making sure the right tone is available for the camera operator to record. This flexibility is achieved by using softboxes, domes, LEDs, RGBs, practical lighting, and portable mini LEDs. We use all of that lighting in a variety of ways. It could be to light the set, a detail, or the client themselves. The LED and RGB lights tend to be the most recognizable, and we use them in a variety of ways. It could be to additionally light the set, a subject, or the client, usually as a backlight. The softbox is a larger light, primarily used to light up the main subject of the shot, and usually a person. And whilst larger compared to the rest, it is still flexible in how it can be used, because it can be manipulated to alter how the subject or client would be perceived, with its addition of softer light on the face. Practical lighting are the sources of light that will be present in the video shot itself, doubling as a piece of decoration to add a visual flair to the set. Lastly, and certainly not least, the main function of the mini portable LEDs is so that there is always a light that can be used and hidden in an awkward place, giving the camera operator the opportunity to be a bit more dynamic with the shots and get footage of things that would otherwise be unattainable. Not to mention they can add some color to the footage. By using all of these lights in tandem, the crew is able to manipulate the location itself, and the primary method we use to light a subject is the 3-point lighting setup. The final component that brings the video together is the sound. This can be recorded by using either lavalier mics hidden somewhere on the client, or by using a shotgun microphone on a boom pole with a sound recorder that a boom operator has somewhere out of the frame. This is a crucial responsibility, as the quality of the sound, more often than not, is what determines whether a viewer would watch a video all the way through to the end, or not. Last but not least, drones. We tend to use a lot of drones on our shoots, and there tend to be two types. FPV, or first-person view drones, where the video is transmitted to a headset worn by the operator, and regular drones where the video is seen on a handheld device, often a mobile phone. The drone is used to capture the location from the outside to establish it for the viewers. The drones we primarily use are the DJI series, be that the Mini ones or the Mavic ones. The Mini is a smaller and lightweight, meaning it's easier to transport. However, the Mavic is far better at braving the elements, so we use it when the weather is particularly perilous, or when we want a slightly more stable cinematic shot. The job of the crew on set is to make sure that by using the equipment at their disposal, they produce the visuals and audio of the highest possible quality, so that by the time it gets to post-production, it can be turned into something truly worthwhile. Let us know what equipment and techniques you use when filming in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe for more. I've been Michael Wolf from United Wolves Productions. Welcome to the Wolf Pack.